In the new HxH chapter, we got an absolute bombshell, a crazy reveal that one of the princes is Beyond Netero's child. It's absolutely crazy, and I am here to tell you that the son of Beyond Netero is Tserriednich. It's quite a wild theory, and it absolutely will have major consequences to the entire story of HxH that, trust me, you guys are just not ready for. And HxH really came back with just some crazy reveals. Let's just get right into this very video. Be sure to leave a like on the video, it helps out a ton, thank you. And of course, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent quality HxH content just like this. Less than 10% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if you love HxH, I promise you won't get subscribing. And of course, alright, so let's just start this theory. In the new chapter 401, we got the reveal that there are many children who specifically are working as guards for the princes, and many of these guards aren't even aware of this truth, but some of these guards are actually children of Beyond Netero and have a curse placed upon them. And this is specifically so that they would grow attached to whatever prince that they're guarding, and eventually they would kill these people with the curse that they have. Of course, this isn't anything new. We've seen curses be used a lot, especially with the second Prince Camilla's guards. She has a whole bunch of private guards that are assigned to each and every single one of the curses that are specifically there to curse them. So again, nothing new. We've seen this before, but what's interesting is the fact that this is separate from what we've seen before, and these people who are doing these curses are doing so unintentionally without even knowing that they have a curse on them, and more importantly, they don't even know that they are the son or daughter of Beyond Netero. The only reason that the guard talking to Kurapika knows is specifically because they found out via a different method entirely, but everybody else wouldn't know their true origins or wouldn't even know that they have other siblings that they're related to, that Beyond's their father, and they have no clue about their actual heritage, meaning that they don't know that a curse was placed upon them. It's pretty interesting that a curse was placed upon each of these children, as it was placed on birth, and that's why they have Nen at birth, and this will be very important for the Tserriednich theory later on, so do remember that. But specifically, it's the fact that they were given this curse from birth. It's why they actually can use Nen at this early age, and it's specifically for this grander plan that Beyond Netero has. It's pretty cruel because pretty much it means that you raised all these people in secret with them not even knowing their true origins, specifically just to kill the other princes. But now the question really arises, who is this secret child of Beyond Netero who is a prince? So we know a bunch of the guards are Beyond Netero's child, and how he actually placed the curses on these children, it's a bit vague, so we don't really know if it was Beyond Netero himself, and maybe his Nen ability has to do with putting curses on people, which probably is not the case. I mean, it's just so specific. What's more likely is that Beyond Netero has someone within his group or camp that can place curses, or at least he had this person in the past when all these children were born, and he used this person, whoever this curse user is, to place the curses on these babies when they were born. But just who is the prince that is the child of Beyond Netero? So we're going to get into all of them one by one, and of course I will tell you what I think at the end, though of course you already know that I believe that the child is Tserriednich. But to begin with, let's just talk about Prince Woble. Could it be possible that the Prince Woble, right, the one that Kurapika is protecting, is the child of Beyond Netero? I would say that that's very unlikely. The specific reason is because Queen Otto simply has no clue about that. As far as Queen Otto knows, and she has no reason to lie, she has told everything to Kurapika. Unlike some other queens who we'll get into, and maybe they have reasons for lying, and maybe they were the ones that slept with Beyond Netero, Queen Otto herself, I just don't see that being the case. I really think if that was something that would have happened, she would have already revealed this to Kurapika at this point. What I think is more possible is the fact that Queen Otto herself is a child of Beyond Netero, and that's how Prince Woble perhaps could be related to Beyond. Because although it wouldn't be a direct case, it would mean that Prince Woble is the grandson of Beyond Netero, which would be pretty wild, and it would be a twist on a twist, because the twist is that in theory one of the children should be Beyond's son, but it could just be simply that the prince is Beyond's grandson. And of course this would make a lot more sense, since maybe the king did some background check on all the children to make sure that they have his DNA, and he did sleep with each of the wives as well to make sure that they're his child. Of course there's ways around that, but I do think he would doubly check to make sure they all have the king's blood. And it also ties into the whole ritual that perhaps you do need some royal blood, or at least be related to the king, to participate in this prince battle, which that in and of itself is 50-50. I'm only theorizing on that, but nonetheless I do think it's an interesting theory. The next possible candidate is Prince Benjamin. This could be a possibility simply, I would say, because the physique is there, so he is pretty big and strong. It's a pretty vague reason, but still it's one nonetheless. And the biggest point is the fact that the first Prince Benjamin already had the ability to use Nen before the Succession War began, so you can make an argument that perhaps this is how he awakened the ability to use Nen for this child. Though of course then it comes into the argument that the only reason that these children had awakened Nen from birth is because they had a curse placed on them, and as far as we know, it doesn't seem like the prince would have a curse placed on them, since the reason that Beyond is placing the curses on the guards for the other princes that's not his child is specifically because he wants to take them out, mainly because Beyond would want the person that is his child to succeed and win forever grander purpose he has, and that in and of itself, what Beyond's true plan is a wild and awesome theory video I want to make after this one. It's probably going to be a huge one, what Beyond's true goal is for the Empire and why he wants his child to win the succession, and this is something that he's planned so deeply far ahead. But not to get too off topic and to say that for another video, you could still make the argument that maybe Benjamin was taught Nen or learnt Nen specifically because he was the child of Beyond Netero, even if they themselves didn't know that they're the child of Beyond Netero, since it does seem like whoever the child of Beyond Netero is from the princess is likely not even aware that they are the child of Beyond Netero. So this could be the reason why first Prince Benjamin has a technique, and he is pretty strong to begin with. Like, his technique is pretty good, his Nen is pretty good as well, so it's nothing to scoff at. And this also ties into the second prince, Camilla, where she clearly has a deep experience with curse users. I mean, she's got a whole bunch of people within her private army that are curse users, and this is very important, but she also had Nen before the Succession War began. With her post-mortem Nen, the cat's ability that resurrects her from death, a pretty cool ability, though of course not really that strong if you simply just apprehend her, but it does mean that she is effectively immortal. It's pretty cool, I can't lie. I do like the use of post-mortem Nen that's pretty much being abused to make your Nen stronger because it's activated after death. But just to get back to the main point, it would be pretty cool if she were the child of Beyond Netero, and maybe she would even know that she's the child of Beyond Netero, which is why she specifically was incorporating curse users into her army, because that's something that her father did. And it could even be possible that the person in Beyond Netero's camp who placed the curses on these babies, this person very likely should still be within Beyond Netero's camp, and they could have also assisted Prince Camilla on giving everyone else in the army curses, or at least how to use curses, how they work, how they function, the ins and outs of them, since it does seem like her private guards are very aware of curses, the functionality and the ins and outs of all of it, which would make sense if she is the daughter of Beyond Netero, and Beyond Netero would have someone who works for them who's very well aware of curses and can place curses on people. So in this scenario, I do think if Prince Camilla is the secret child of Beyond Netero, I actually think that she would be aware of it, or at the bare minimum, the wife would be aware of it. And this is pretty important because this goes for all the queens bar Queen Oito, and this is that they would be in on this conspiracy to somehow have this secret child of Beyond Netero be the next king of the entire empire, which again is really wild. I really want to make that video. So let's just continue with this one for now. I think an interesting possibility would be Halkenburg, and the reason I say this is specifically because of his character and his sense of justice, and mainly because of the fact that he's so powerful. I mean, we've already seen that his power is absolutely tremendous, and he in and of himself, I actually consider a very complex character and one of the better written princes. I'm not even gonna lie, he's just absolutely amazing and I love his character. And I think if it were Halkenburg, I specifically say this for a writing point of view. I mean, all of a sudden Halkenburg, who's already thinking that he belongs to this very cursed line of his father, and imagine if he finds out that his father isn't even really his father and his true father is this guy called Beyond Netero, and his entire birth and existence was all a lie. It was all a conspiracy for a grander plan. Just how would he react to all that? I mean, would it break him? Would he become evil? Would he try and fight against it because he has such a strong sense of justice? And I just think he would make for a great character dynamic of Halkenburg going against both the person who he always thought was his father, and of course his true father, now a greater evil. And again, just from a writing point of view, it would just narratively be the best thing to happen, I think, out of any of the princes, bar one who I will be talking about very soon, as you see by the title. And that prince is Prince Tserriednich. The reason I think this would just be the best case scenario is because Prince Tserriednich simply has an insane level of potential. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous just how gifted he is, and all of this would suddenly make sense if you consider the fact that he is not the son of the king that we already know, but he is the son of Beyond Netero. That is why he has great and latent potential for Nen, whereas all of his other siblings don't really have that. I mean, they do have it, but when you just compare Tserriednich to the rest of his children, it's like Tserriednich is a 1 in 10 million talent, where the rest of his children are like, alright, it's not bad per se, but the only reason that they're so powerful is because they're hard carried by their Nen beast. I mean, Prince Benjamin and Prince Camilla do seem to be pretty powerful, but it does seem like they had a lot of training prior to the Succession War happening, and they already had their abilities. Tserriednich is just going on the fly, developing like a god. I mean, this guy's potential is off the charts. You don't even need me to explain it, and this is pretty much a video I want to make very soon, where I want to really go deep into Tserriednich's potential and just how powerful he could be. So if you do want to see that video, let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to make that video. He is one of the most interesting characters in Hunter x Hunter, and not only is he one of the most interesting, but I think narratively it would lead to the greatest possibilities, because you have to remember Kurapika is heavily tied to Tserriednich to begin with, because Tserriednich has the eyes of all of his clan members, right? But this goes even deeper than that, because you have to remember Kurapika is also one of the Zodiacs, and what is the Zodiac's greatest enemy right now? Yes, it is Beyond Netero. I mean, we even see at the end of the current chapter, the monkey is currently guarding Beyond Netero, and they're taking turns, as was discussed later on. They're constantly guarding him and then making shifts in this way. So this would give 3 big reasons for Kurapika to be an enemy of Tserriednich, as if he didn't already have 2 big ones, which the first one, he is an enemy of the Prince Woble, so just naturally he's going to be up against him, and the second one is the big one where of course he has possessions of all of the eyes of Kurapika's clan members, and if you just throw in this massive third one where it's not only from a personal standpoint, from a job standpoint, but also from his Zodiac job standpoint, so not just as a guard but as a Zodiac, where he is the primary enemy, because if you have Tserriednich join forces with Beyond Netero, that is going to be a disgusting, unstoppable force. I mean, God knows what's going to happen if you really decide to go that route, or even if you just have Tserriednich win and this is all a part of Beyond Netero's grander conspiracy and plans, simply it's just an outcome you don't want to happen. So I think from a writing point of view, this is simply the best case scenario, and not only would it be good for the story and having a very cool antagonist that's already really awesome in Tserriednich, but it would give more depth to Tserriednich himself, it would tie him even deeper to Kurapika than he already is, it would add more layers to Kurapika, and it would also tie the Succession War even more with the Zodiac members, which it already has to quite an extent as you've seen, but this would make it go even deeper. And mainly I say this for Kurapika's writing, because Kurapika is really written as the main character of this current arc, which I absolutely love, by the way. I love seeing Kurapika, it's just absolutely amazing, and this would just be fantastic for his character as well, and it would also explain why Tserriednich has such a deep level of potential. And some of you may argue that he can't be Beyond's son, since it was said that all of Beyond's children had Nen from birth, but it does seem like the only reason that these children, the many secret children of Beyond who all became gods later on, had Nen is because they had curses placed on them from birth, which is why they had Nen from birth. As we know in HxH, if you receive an attack, and I say that in quotes since that could be very vague, it could even be healing or anything, you know, simply even having an ability used on you via Nen, that can actually trigger a Nen awakening on you. So simply this would be the reason why Tserriednich is the son of Beyond Netero and he didn't have Nen from birth, because he never had a curse placed on him, because why would Beyond Netero want to place a curse on the child that he wants to succeed and become the future king? The only reason he did that to all the gods that are his children is because they are his throwaway children. Specifically, they're there to kill the other princes so that the one prince that is his child can win and become king for his grander conspiracy. Just simply for so many reasons, I think it would be narratively the best case as for everything I've said before, and also it would explain so many questions which seemed so unclear before. It makes sense now if he's simply the child of Beyond Netero and the grandson of Netero himself. But just which prince do you think is the child of Beyond Netero? Let me know in the comments down below. I really do think it's Tserriednich. If it's not going to be Tserriednich, I do think it's going to be either Prince Woble as his grandson or Halkenburg as a third option in my opinion. And let me know your reasonings for your theories as well. But if you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, hit up that ton, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, you should subscribe for a ton of consistent quality HxH content just like this. Like I said in the intro, less than 10% of people who watch my videos are subscribed. So if you love HxH, I promise you, you won't get subscribing. And of course, thank you to all the channel members as well. It's always much appreciated, guys. But that's all from me. Have a great day and take care.